G'day chaps, tis I, Clownpuncher139, and welcome back to Minimum Grapples for Arkham Challenge Maps. If you haven't seen the previous video, click the card or the link in the description below to catch up. But for those of you who have, here we are with part 2 where we'll be covering Arkham Origins. Not Origins in City like I originally intended, because the script for one game was getting way too long to do a second for. Let's get into it. Despite my skepticism and general expectation that this would be the hardest, most of the challenges in our Origins were relatively painless. Part of this was due to my lack of experimentation. In all the other games, there were challenges I knew I could complete if I took time to experiment with the environment and work my way around it. In Origins, however, there wasn't that same type of luxury because there's nothing to experiment with. The main driving force of my experiments was the line launcher, which Origins just doesn't have. Combine that with the levels generally being designed around really high vantage points, and there wasn't much for me to do with them if a challenge required me to. So I would just not worry about completing it and get the other two done. In other words, we're missing a lot of medals in Origins. First up is Breaking In, where the challenges are to smash through a weak ceiling to take an enemy down, take down an enemy with a propane tank on the remote claw, and perform a takedown from a floor grate. All relatively painless, and this level is actually incredibly generous as we start from a high vantage point, giving us the perfect opportunity to glide to the other side of the room unnoticed. I used the remote claw to give us a little wire to make the gliding easier and went to the glass ceiling for the first takedown. I hopped in the grates after smashing down to take out a single guy that came running to his aid and nabbed the second medal just like that. I hopped in the grates on the other side to sneak out the vent at the end and temporarily escape. I ended up sneaking all the way around the building until I was upstairs and had the perfect vantage point to hit this guy with the propane tank. Or so I thought, except the claw wouldn't lock onto the propane tank. So I took a slightly different position and used the sonic batarang to lure someone over because I missed getting this guy. I waited for the tank to be behind him so he'd be surprised, fired, and earn the final badge. Then, since I had 3 tether shots left on the remote claw, I just used it to string up the last 3 guys with no issues. Next was Easy Money, and the challenges are to perform a takedown through a vent cover, perform an inverted takedown, and explode a weak wall onto an enemy. Now, you'd assume my criticisms at the beginning of this breakdown that we wouldn't be able to do the inverted takedown. And to that, I say nay. It's actually really easy to do because we spawn at the top of the bank. So we drop onto the vantage point and immediately grab this guy to earn the first medal only 3 seconds in. Then, since we're next to an alcove, we can dip back and hide from the gunshots and reset the thugs to normal. Then, because the designers cared more about the remote claw than every other mechanic, we can use it to make a line between the gargoyles. Albeit, this line is ultimately useless because I just ended up dropping down to hop in the vent here. Unfortunately, none of the thugs were anywhere near the area I'd need to take them down, so I was stuck hiding in there while they surrounded my position. I eventually hopped out and made my way to the other side of the bank to prime this wall to blow. I then snuck around looking for an opportunity before eventually going into the other side of the vent and planting a sonic batarang there, hoping someone would check it out and let me take them down. I hopped back in the vents in hopes that I'd be able to take him down, but was met with disappointment as he just shot at the sonic batarang and didn't even enter the room. I hopped out as he walked away and took cover as he turned back towards me, eventually getting him with a corner takedown. I then decided to take off the other vent cover in hopes that I could get them there with another sonic batarang later. Before I could even use the sonic batarang though, one of the thugs took a hostage, meaning the bottom layer is now off limits to me. But while I was investigating the area, one of the thugs moved towards my prime wall and I blew it up, earning me the second badge. Then after a little more sneaking around, I climbed up and placed a sonic batarang further into the room, meaning the thug would be forced to walk further in to destroy it. Of course, he didn't do that at first, but after shooting it, he did walk further into the room and allowed me to get the vent takedown and earn the final badge. Now I just had to take down the hostage taker, and the level was won. Just to be safe, I disrupted his gun, but I was able to glide behind him for a silent takedown and win the level. Checking Out is next, and its challenges are to perform a double ledge takedown, perform an inverted takedown on a thermal enemy, and perform a knockout smash during a silent takedown. Unfortunately, there isn't any way to gain height in this level, and we start on the ground, so performing an inverted takedown is completely out of the question this time. Now, removing one of the challenges doesn't exactly make this room that much easier, because getting the double edge takedown is still equally as annoying. We can't just grapple underneath these guys to take them out, and for some reason the small amount of ledge that we're able to grab restricts us from moving only a few inches away from the ladder. so we have to climb up to the top level and walk behind them. Then, since their peripheral vision is terrible, we can climb over the ledge and take them down while they're close enough. Since there were guys below, I climbed back up and took this guy down with a knockout smash, earning me the second and I guess final medal. Then I just had to finish these 3 guys, so I tried to string one up with a remote claw, but got seen and shot in the process. I dropped smoke and took him down with the back claw instead. I then pulled this guy off the ledge before the final guy could reach me, then snuck behind him and knocked him down. Sucks that we could only get 2, but that's what this game gets for having really high gargoyles. Next is Quiet Waters, by far one of the hardest both on regular and extreme. For the challenges, we must sneak behind a pair of enemies for a double takedown, perform a single ledge takedown, and perform a zipline takedown on enemies. Unfortunately, the zipline takedown is also impossible here, as it requires you to use the remote claw to connect 2 vantage points and take an enemy down while walking on it. And once again, the vantage points are way too high in this level to make use of. And even without having to do that one, it still took me a few tries to nail this down. On my winning attempt, I snuck down to the bottom layer to take out these 2 guys first, since it's basically the only consistent way to get 2 guys together in this level. Unfortunately, before I could run up and take someone down on this ledge, Joker alerted them and I couldn't get ready in time. So I hid in this grate and just kinda waited around to see what they'd do. All but one ran to their bodies, which left this guy. He kinda just kept staring over the ledge, so I went in from a corner and took him down to earn the other badge. Now I just have to take the last 4 down, starting with this guy, who unfortunately saw me and alerted everyone, meaning they're all going to converge on my location. I still took him down, but I needed to get away fast, so I ran into this vent and just waited out their search phase. Then eventually left and used a glue grenade on this guy. While these 2 were distracted, I took out one guy with a battering and ground takedown. Unfortunately, those guys somehow saw me, and I tried taking them down with a back claw, but the game decided to knight me. While they were throwing grenades at me, I ran up to them and used the corner cover to temporarily disable them. I knocked one guy down on the ground with a battering, and took him down, and finished the other guy who I trapped in glue with a smash. Another one down, but unfortunately we miss out on yet another medal. Hopefully this doesn't continue. Next up is Wrecking Crew, and what did I just say, game? The challenges are to perform an inverted takedown through a weak ceiling, take an enemy down with a mine, and use the remote claw to hit an enemy with a fire extinguisher, then take him down in the smoke. Once more, we cannot complete one of these challenges because the vantage points are just too dang high. But I guess we can get the other 2 relatively easily. I start by hopping into this grate and taking this guy down loudly, alerting everyone to my presence. I use the lone guy running to me to get a medal by hitting him with a fire extinguisher with a remote claw. Unfortunately, I have to wait for him to stand up since the medal specifically asks for a silent takedown. I patiently wait and take him down before anyone else can arrive. Unfortunately, the smoke from fire extinguishers dissipates really quickly and someone takes a shot at me as I make my getaway. I hopped into the grates while they examined his body and just kinda waited there for a bit. I didn't want to take this guy down since he was being watched, and I wanted him to put a mine down anyway. Thankfully, he did exactly that and I could blow it up just as he set it down. Unfortunately, I was right next to this guy and didn't realize it, so he saw me get into the grates. Apparently, he didn't see enough of me though, because I got the prompt to take him down right away. Since I had to leave the grates anyway, I just took him down too. I took some chip damage from a grenade, but still got away from the other 3 guys. And since I have all 3 remote claw tethers, I just decided to use them. I got 2 guys with no effort, and just punched the 3rd down before he could react. For the 3rd time in a row, only 2 medals were obtainable, so here's hoping we don't have any more inverted takedowns going forward. Last of the regular maps is Hard Time, where we have to take down an enemy using a weak wall, attract an enemy with a sonic battering and take him down, not with a shock battering, that'll come into play later, and perform an inverted takedown on a thermal enemy. Are you kidding me? We'll get to that when we get there. Anyway, we start by hopping in the grates once again to not take this guy out and instead sneak to the other side of the wall so we don't have to worry about alerting him. I sneak into the vents and quickly prime this wall to blow so I can take him out and earn the first badge. I do a bit of sneaking in the grates that unfortunately gets me seen by this guy checking his body, so I need to waste my smoke to avoid dying to this guy. I use the opportunity to take him down and duck into the grates up top to avoid the rest of the guys. I sneak away and throw the sonic battering down to get the other medal. A lone guy comes over and I'm able to silently take him down soon after. I go ahead up top since nobody else was coming up there and see if I could get onto the vantage points, but it wasn't happening. These things are way too high to jump onto, which sucks even though they're right there. Anyway, I glide down to take out this lone guy, then head back up to use the back claw to take out both of these guys. and since there were only 2 left, I go ahead and use the remote claw tether to take them out and finish the room. That's all the normal maps taken care of, but with a whopping 4 medals unobtainable. What's that saying about the extreme challenges coming up? Well, let's find out with Breaking In Extreme, where we must pull an enemy off a walkway with the back claw, take down an enemy from a tightrope, and perform a takedown through a glass window. Now, you'd think the tightrope would be impossible again, but remember, this is Breaking In. Our starting point is right on top of a vantage point, meaning we can connect 2 of them together with the remote claw and perform the takedown like normal. And that's exactly what I did during my winning attempt, which took a few tries but ultimately wasn't super difficult. I of course start by connecting these vantage points and waiting for this guy to walk onto the line, and since I'm on the line, I don't have to worry about the thermal vision getting me. We get a really cool takedown animation that I'd never seen before, but it's unfortunately loud so everyone is attracted to me. Since I can't grapple away, I glide off the railing to the other side of the station and hide in this corner. I'm able to barely take this guy down without being seen. Seriously, look how close this guy is to seeing me. Then I climb up here to get a better angle to take this guy down with the back claw. Unfortunately, I can't reach any of his buddies, so I have to run away for now and hide in the grates. But seeing an opportunity to get the jammer guy, I hop out and take him down with the back claw as well. With half the guys down, I can finally use detective mode again. They're a little distracted, so I take the chance to set up a sonic battering near a window so I can take someone down to get that last medal. Thankfully, this guy comes alone, so I'm able to get him through the window and earn the last badge. I head into the grates by the elevator, then use the batarang to knock this guy down. Not wanting to risk this guy coming over and seeing me, I run over and take him down instead with a knockout smash. Then I take a corner cover and put this guy in glue just to be safe and knock him out with another smash. Pretty easy start, but we all know what those inevitably lead to. Next is Easy Money Extreme, which did not quite live up to its name. The challenges are to take the armored enemy out first, take an enemy down with a mine, and use explosive gel to send an enemy who just climbed a ladder back to the ground. The mine challenge is nothing, but the other 2 are seriously difficult. The successful run of this map lasted almost 6 minutes, which is just way too long, even for an extreme map. Since the armor guy pretty much has to be taken out with an obvious takedown, getting rid of him first is a major problem. It's already annoying to do since he's just barely out of the line for an inverted takedown, so I have to go to the ground to do it. I end up going into the grates below him for the takedown, which works, and I actually leave unseen. Since I never set up explosive gel, I had to head up so I could actually do that for that challenge. I ran into the vents to the other side of the bank, but of course, a guy was headed my way, so I couldn't make anything out of it. Of course, he was a mine guy, so he laid one down and walked the other way, meaning I couldn't even get him with his own mine. Thankfully, it did allow me to leave the grate and head up top. Of course, again, the mine guy went up top himself and placed a mine right in the center of the walkway, meaning I can't get to the other side. So I opted to lay the explosive gel in front of this ladder and hope for the best. I waited around for something to happen, and one guy climbed the ladder to the walkway with the mine, so I blew it up and got the second badge. Not wanting to waste a free takedown, I pull this guy off the ledge before he can check his buddy and hop into the grates again. Of course, nobody climbs the gel-primed ladder, so I just kinda wait in the grates for a bit. I eventually get bored and head back up top, where I move ever so slightly too far into range and get noticed by this guy on the walkway. And right when I do, someone climbs the ladder, but since I don't have auto proximity detonate for some reason, I had to manually blow it. By the time I realized that, it was too late and he was too far along and I had to run. So I ultimately wasted that gel on nothing. I want to go to the other side of the bank from the bottom, but the mine is blocking my way, so I'm just stuck waiting on the stairs. I hang out there for way too long until I finally get a window to move over to the ladder and can place some explosive gel. I knock this guy out in the process, which leads some guys up, but of course, they all avoid the ladder I primed, so I just blow it up and head back to the bottom. Even though I could take any of these guys out, I don't risk doing it because I need the numbers to make sure I get that gel knockdown. I eventually get back over to the ladder they tended to use, gel it, and then use the sonic batarang, hoping the guy close to it on the ground would climb up. Thankfully he does, and this time I can detonate the gel in time and take him down, earning me the third badge. Now I just need to take down the last 2, which I do pretty easily, and finally complete this dang map. Next was checking out Extreme, which was relatively easy, if not also really time consuming. The challenges are to take down an enemy with a corner cover takedown, perform a ledge takedown, and perform a takedown through a wooden wall. All these are pretty standard stuff you'd see in normal maps, so what's the catch? Well, there are 7 enemies to take down, pretty standard stuff too. but 4 of them are armored, and 2 of them are snipers right in the middle of the room. These snipers are constantly watching the ground floor, which is exactly where I'm restricted, not being able to grapple and all. Well, let's see how I did. First, I went up to this ledge to get one of the snipers and get a challenge at the same time. I waited for a decent bit for him to move since I couldn't get to a better position on the ledge myself, but I eventually got him down with a ledge takedown. Obviously I had to drop down, or else I'd be dealing with a sniper aiming right at me, but dropping down still put me in other goons' sights. So I knocked this guy down with a punch, had to drop smoke to be safe, and knocked him out. I couldn't stick around for long since these guys have thermal vision, so I jumped in the grates and got away. When the smoke and enemies disappeared, I went up to a corner to get a corner takedown on this guy since it can only be done on regular enemies. I then hopped back in the grates since enemies were covering literally everywhere else. After a bit of waiting, this guy walked up to the wooden panel and the sniper wasn't covering this side, so I took him down and got the 3rd badge. Now though, I had to deal with 3 armored enemies without being able to grapple up to any of them. I decided the grates were outliving their usefulness with all these bodies, so I ran into the vents under the stairs instead. I eventually tried to use the backlog to take these guys out, but of course this platform isn't high enough to knock him down. And it's just barely too far away when they reach the top platform. Eventually, after realizing I wouldn't be getting anyone with the backlog from the bottom layer, I make the reluctant decision to climb up. I tried pulling this guy off, but of course he only falls on this platform instead of to the ground. Then he kinda glitches out. He's stuck running into this corner for the rest of the encounter, I guess trying to reach his gun, but hey, I'm not complaining. Origins is Origins, and I will not try to change it. I consider taking him down with this barrel, but I realized I could just leave him there for the free final takedown. Instead, I climb up and take this guy down with a fire extinguisher and subsequent beatdown. The fire extinguisher is important, or else the sniper definitely would have seen me and taken me out. Speaking of, I run over to said sniper and take him out with a glue smash. That just leaves the glitch guy, which I take down with another beatdown. Easy 3 medals, if a little bit time consuming. Quiet Waters Extreme is up next, and the challenges are to use a fire extinguisher with the remote claw to silently take down an enemy, slide into an enemy to knock him down on the ground, and take out the jammer enemy last. These are ridiculously hard challenges, so let's hope for the best. Well, considering this map took over 10 minutes to complete, the best clearly did not go down. Well, since I can't use detective mode, I literally have no idea what I'm dealing with for the entire map. I start by heading towards the middle of the room, hoping for a chance to use the fire extinguisher on this guy. Instead, I actually end up doing the slide kick to knock this guy down, but get seen and shot up really bad in the process. I get away, but I've taken a lot of unnecessary damage and jump into the grates, which has really become a running theme, hasn't it? I take this guy down since he's alone to attract some attention away from the center of the room. When the enemies dissipate, I silent take down this guy just to get my knockout count a little bit higher. I still don't actually know how many enemies are in the room, so I'm just hoping I don't get too many to not beat the challenge. After I do, I get this guy with a mine to get it up just a little bit more. I then spend an uncomfortably long time hiding in these grates, just waiting for the enemies to move up to the top level. When they finally do, I make my way up as well. I try to get this guy with a fire extinguisher, but of course it hits a wall and detonates too early, meaning I can't take him out in it. I try to backclaw him inside, but end up making him punch me, which I counter, and that surprisingly knocks him out. Awesome animation, but now I'm another thug short. Knowing I made some noise, I begrudgingly glide back to the bottom layer and get into the grates again. But seeing an opening, I head back up the stairs and wait on the corner for something to happen. Well, something actually does happen. The jammer guy takes the hostage, meaning there's no other way for me to end this encounter. I end up following this guy for what feels like an eternity to get him with the fire extinguisher. But of course, I'm too quick on the draw and accidentally string him up on a gargoyle. Not good. At this point, I have no idea how many enemies are left, and the challenge is still incomplete. After waiting around for just a bit, thinking the jammer guy was the only one left, Joker thankfully chimes in and informs me that there are 2 guys left. Full of relief, I throw a sonic battering near the fire extinguisher to attract a non-jammer guy. This time, I'm a bit more cautious on the draw and make sure he gets hit by the extinguisher. After of course having to wait for him to get up, I silently take him down and am left with only the jammer guy. I try to take as few risks as possible and try to disable his gun, but it strangely doesn't work, so I'm forced to take him down the old-fashioned way. I wait for him to turn around and hop into the grates again, but of course he's never close enough to the grates for an actual takedown. So I wait on the other side of the grates, wait for him to turn, and sneak up on him for the silent takedown. but since he's armored, I have to do a good old-fashioned beatdown to take him out. After a very long time, I was able to get all 3 stars and beat the map. Almost there. The penultimate map is Wrecking Crew Extreme, where you must jam an enemy's gun and take him down when he tries to fire, take down an enemy with a beatdown, and appear out of nowhere to terrify an enemy. Decently easy stuff, so let's get to it. Well, I start by heading to the bottom layer since there's a pretty consistent strategy to get 2 medals instantly. First you disrupt this guy's gun, then hop into the grates to take this armored jammer guy down. Since it's loud, the guy you jammed will run over to you and try to shoot you, but since he's also armored, you have to beat him down anyway. This will earn you 2 badges and you can escape with pretty few scratches. Some guys will see and shoot you just as you finish, but you can drop smoke to get away from them. This allows you to sneak behind one of the lonely guys who I took down with a knockout smash. I hopped in the grates and waited a bit, but then something even weirder happened. One of the guys noticed the guy beat down, and then everyone was just kind of frozen. The guy didn't leave the body, and the rest of the enemies just didn't move. Once again, Origins just being Origins, I guess. I used this freedom to take this guy down with a ledge takedown since I didn't want to risk him actually seeing me. That unfroze the rest of the guys who ran to his body. The guy on the previous body unfortunately climbed up the ladder, but I hit him off the edge for another takedown. Moments before they could see me, I hid in the grates and took out one lone guy with a takedown. I got behind this corner and glued this guy to temporarily incapacitate him and actually got seen by his buddy. Thankfully he stumbled, which got me the last medal and didn't get me shot. I beat him down and then took his buddy out with a glue smash. All 3 badges and in record time too. Last but certainly not least, we have Hard Time Extreme, where the challenges are to use a sonic shock batarang to take down an enemy, smash through a weak ceiling to take an enemy out, and disarm an enemy with a back claw and take him down. Now, here's the thing. On this save file, I had completed the entire main story and side missions, excluding the Dark Knight challenges. And one of the rewards for completing these challenges is the Sonic Shock Batarang. At this point in time, I had basically no way to unlock this upgrade that wouldn't require me to start a brand new save. So I can't actually complete this challenge because I don't have the upgrade. But here's the thing. I know I would be able to do it with absolutely no effort. It's the Sonic Shock Batarang. It's an item I use all the time to take out difficult enemies. So frankly, not being able to use it is more of a challenge than the one proposed. So while I can't technically get this challenge, let it be known that I very easily would've if I had the upgrade. So despite technically missing a medal, I got all of them. Speaking of, here's the rest of the level. I start by climbing up this ladder to take both of these guys out with a double ledge takedown. They're both armored, so this is a great move, even if it doesn't get you any medals. I run to the other side and climb up when the coast is clear. I try to get this guy with a ledge takedown too, but his buddy somehow sees me and takes a huge chunk out of my health. I end up wasting my smoke and climbing up top to get away, where I was ready for the glass takedown, but they move out before I can. I instead use the remote claw tether to string the last 2 regular goons up for free, since I can't use it on armored guys anyway. I pull this armored guy off the edge with the back claw, which actually counts toward the challenge, so that's nice. Just then, somebody takes the hostage in the center of the room, giving me the perfect opportunity for the glass takedown. Thankfully, everyone else is away, so I can wait in this corner for them to climb up, and at the same time, glue this guy out of my way. This guy ends up staring right at me, but he's thankfully terrified, so he stumbles instead of shooting me. I beat him down, glue smash his buddy, and the room is won. Holy heck in a handbasket, this game was ridiculous. We lost out on a total of 4 medals, all because of takedowns that require vantage points. But man, was this one fun. There were tons of unique scenarios I wouldn't have without taking away the grapple gun, and I had a ton of fun with this game. It's a real shame we lost out on so many medals, all because the vantage points are too high, but honestly, with all of those being directly tied to gargoyles, I have pretty high confidence for Arkham City. Pretty much the main reason we couldn't reach some of these gargoyles is because Origins doesn't have the line launcher. As we all know, City definitely has that gadget, so I'm pretty confident we can overcome these challenges if they show up in City. Well, only one way to find out. Stay tuned for part 3 of this challenge when I look at Batman Arkham City next time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later, chaps.